Energy Media readers, today we're going to be talking about the atmosphere in Alberta, which is the epicenter of the Canadian energy industry, and the mood in the Calgary executive suites. It is dour, and with good reason. Between the COVID-19 pandemic and the price war, the Saudi-Russia price war, things are pretty depressed along with oil prices. So to help me discuss that, I've invited Doug Lacombe, an old friend from Communicato, and welcome to the interview, Doug.
Oh, thanks, Markham. Glad to be here.
Well, look, I'm going to throw this over to you. Give me a brief overview about how people are feeling within the industry.
Well, I mean, there was already a lot of anxiety and angst in Alberta, particularly in Calgary, in some sense, one of the harder hit regions. Just given the state of oil and gas, macro environmental factors, the Saudi-Russian price war, that's a game of chicken that we simply can't win. We're bystanders and price takers. But even leading up to that, there have been all the other sort of irritants, I would say, that have sort of layered on, and now we're getting almost to the point where, the straw is breaking the proverbial camel's back. COVID-19 is just another whack upside the head. And, like all Canadians, folks here are concerned. Calgary is particularly hard hit with new infections. And so it does appear like there may be some community spread. And so now we're into a conversation where people are worried about their businesses.
Fair enough. And one of the points that I've been making for a long time now, but I think it's really important to make at this time, is that not everybody's feeling the pain equally. And so we saw the year-end financial statements have been coming out. The big five, the Cenovus and the CNRL and Suncor and Imperial and Husky, made out like bandits last year. They had record revenues. They were throwing off free cash flow like crazy. They're in really good shape. The juniors, on the other hand, it is we could be seeing the collapse of the junior sector, and it is dire. Yeah. And of course, the junior sector is tied in very closely with the domestic services companies, the financiers, all of those folks. Does that affect the mood in Calgary, make it a little different than it might have been otherwise?
Yeah, I mean, when you've got the integrateds that have some mechanism to benefit from the environment and the price environment, then yes, absolutely. There's a angst and terror. I think are kind of the two flavors, and the latter group, folks are just scrambling, whether that's to lay off people, to shut down equipment, to renegotiate contracts, and so on and so forth. And now this has just been complicated even further by, having to social distance, which does not particularly work well, especially in hands-on blue-collar type trades. So there's definitely a sense of dread. On the other hand, I do see a lot of people really trying to be stoic and sort of doing the keep calm and carry on thing. And I do have a lot of faith in Albertans. They certainly have been through other booms and busts. And this one's ugly, but as the meme on Facebook says, our grandparents went to war and we're being asked to stay home for a few weeks. We'll probably weather this, but we do have some structural problems.
Now, the last and final question, Doug, there was an article came out today in the Globe and Mail, and it had a number of Canadian business executives who, I think it was an open letter to the federal government, Prime Minister Trudeau. And it basically said, look, we're very concerned about COVID-19, and we support our staff, we support the companies, we support the governments who are coping with this. And then quite a number of them, several dozen or so, signed it. And there were only two companies from Alberta, oil and gas companies, that signed it. And that was Russ Girling at TC Energy and Alex Pourbaix at Cenovus. And I was kind of shocked by that, because those companies, the big corporate entities in Alberta play an outsized role in the Canadian business community. What do you make of that, or if anything?
Well, it's hard to tell. I mean, I'm happy to spitball, but I don't have any inside information. When I look at letters like that, and when I see the signatories, I have this immediate reaction of, and God help me for saying this phrase, Laurentian elites. It feels to me like the gang in the club got together, put a letter together. They knew a couple of guys out in the colonies, so they mistakenly signed, and nobody else participated because they don't know them. Pure conjecture, I have no idea. But it's good that those two prominent business people in Alberta signed. I think that from what I've heard from employees and our clients, that the sentiment is universal. Let's all pull together and do what we can. So I don't think it's a lack of support for this initiative, but I think it's who knows who.
Well, Doug, thank you very much for this. We'll be tapping you on a regular basis, we hope, to get insight into how Alberta is feeling as the twin scourges of COVID-19 and the global oil price war continue. So thank you very much for this.
Thanks, Markham. I'll be here at the home office until further notice, so you can always find me.